It's only been two races into the 2025 Formula One season, and Lewis Hamilton has received the full Ferrari experience. And if you think about it, it's kind of impressive because the Scuderia have completed one complete cycle of euphoria and heartbreak just within two Grand Prix into the season. They are leaving no stone unturned to make sure that the seven time world champion gets used to the Ferrari way of things and loses any hope of winning his eighth world title as early as possible into the season. And in this video, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the first completed Ferrari cycle, and then we will talk about how frequently this cycle may repeat throughout the season. Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari cycle begins in January 2025 when he dropped the hardest picture in motorsport history. The entire world paused to take a look at that picture, and that's where we got the first glimpse of hope that 2025 could be our year. And in January 21, just one day after the hardest picture in motorsport history has been dropped, we get news that Lewis's personal trainer and longtime friend, Angela Cullen, was joining the team. And again, the glimpse of hope becomes stronger. Almost a month after Angela Cullen decided to join Ferrari, there was the testing in Bahrain, and after testing the results were not that impressive, but what was impressive is that both of the Ferrari drivers were feeling comfortable in the car. When the strongest driver pairing, arguably in recent Formula One history, say that the car is comfortable and is good to drive, obviously we were taking high amounts of hopium. And then the 2025 Formula One season begins and we go to Melbourne. The entire weekend was disaster in terms of results. Ferrari came home 9th and 10th. There was a moment in which both of the Ferraris were running in the podium positions. If they played their strategy right, which they rarely do at Ferrari, it's quite possible that both of the cars could have finished in the top 5. And while it was a disastrous weekend, it's also understandable because the conditions were tricky, the weather was changing, it was Lewis's first weekend in the car, it's a new car. They are still understanding many things about the car, and also we had the funniest radio moments in Australia because Hamilton was repeatedly saying, just leave me to it, I'm gonna do whatever I'm gonna do. Charles Leclerc also had a few classic Ferrari moments in which he heard some nice words of wisdom. But overall, it was a little bit inconclusive because we don't know where Ferrari actually stood because of the conditions. It made it difficult to know whether Ferrari were actually competitive, and whatever hope we had, it didn't get completely diminished because they still came home with a few points, which is better than nothing, and the car definitely showed promise in different parts of the race. And then comes the second race weekend of the 2025 Formula One season, China. And in sprint qualifying, Lewis puts the car on pole. That's his first ever sprint pole position. That's Ferrari's first ever sprint pole position. And in China, there are a lot of Ferrari fans in the grandstands. The next day, the sprint race, Hamilton wins from pole position. Initially, he defends against Max Verstappen, who starts right alongside him, which can be difficult and tricky. Then he also resists his attack for multiple laps. And after Max Verstappen fades away, there is Oscar Piastri on the McLaren, which is arguably the fastest car of the 2025 season. And Lewis Hamilton also manages to somehow defend to that. All of the Ferrari fans across the world were literally celebrating because winning from pole position and then defending against Max Verstappen and a faster McLaren of Oscar Piastri is not a joke. And this was the moment when Ferrari and the Tifosi achieved the euphoria phase of the Ferrari cycle. Obviously, right after euphoria, the next phase is heartbreak, which did happen after the Chinese Grand Prix. The race was mediocre. There's nothing much to comment about the race. The qualifying pace was trash. That's why both of the Ferraris were in the third row. And the race pace was mediocre. Charles had that extra pace because he broke the front wing. All of the aerodynamic components on the Ferrari car actually slow the car down. So if you tactically break some components here and there during the race, you will unlock more and more performance. Based on their pace, they finished in the right place. But obviously, that's not heartbreaking enough. The double disqualification had to happen. And both of the cars got disqualified for two different reasons, which is even more impressive. So Charles Leclerc gets disqualified because his car is underweight. And then Lewis Hamilton gets disqualified because something gets rubbed off and the thickness of that thing is not where it is supposed to be. It's like 0.5 millimeters of thickness difference. I think it's the plate at the end of, like, below his car. I don't know the technical terms, but I do know that the first cycle of the Ferrari experience in 2025 is now complete for both of the drivers, and I'm now excited for the next cycle because the next race on the season is Suzuka, and Ferrari hasn't won in Suzuka since 2004, and Hamilton's last win there was in 2018. So in Japan, if I were to make a prediction, both of the Ferraris will qualify decent, probably in second or third row, and both of the Ferraris will finish in the top 5, with one Ferrari at least finishing on the podium. Something bad will happen to the McLarens, giving everyone hope that Ferraris can challenge for the constructors. And then in Bahrain, obviously, the euphoria will happen. There will be some glimpses of hope that, oh my god, we can take the fight to McLaren and Red Bull. But by the end of Bahrain Grand Prix, we will be feeling the same thing we felt after the double disqualification in China, because we are currently on a 2-race Ferrari cycle. So really excited for how many cycles Hamilton goes through in the 2025 season. The first cycle is completed. It's very exhilarating and tiring. 2025 is not our year anymore. I think it's better to just focus on 2026. Because I was not expecting Ferrari to be this efficient in destroying the hopes of their driver for winning Constructors or Drivers' Championship. So I guess we will see what happens in Japan. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.